What's up, guys? It's SRL. I'm going to be showing you guys the original setup that I had for the Cairo Station Warthog launch from the bottom up. This is MCC, obviously. It's probably possible in the original Halo 2, but you would have to slightly alter things. But I wanted to show people this because originally this wasn't, acrophobia didn't come around until a little bit later, and then now it's an official skull now, but it's still worth showing people what the original setup was. And by knowing this setup, you can also do it with acrophobia as well. But anyways, you want to go ahead and kill off these grunts in this area, save this elite. This is your checkpoint right here. Very useful indeed. So get him to kind of chill in that room, and then go through the rest of the map and get Johnson and Miranda up into this tram. It seems like that's the best place to keep them, because otherwise when you're bringing the elite through, it seems like they just know that he's there and they start shooting at him, and then it causes a massive scene, like so much drama, man, so much drama. And then your elite dies because they're invincible. It's not really fair, but anyways, yeah, so once they're out of the way up there, like, they'll either disappear after a while or they'll just stay there. And as long as they're out of the way and don't kill your elite, you're good. Go ahead and come back, grab your elite, and head on over to the next area. And you want to, you could put them in a couple different areas, but this is like the best area that I could find, in the middle of this hallway here, because it's just the best drop once you've loaded into the next part of the map. And you can always check to make sure he's actually going to drop down on the platform, and you just don't want him to be too far back, otherwise he'll drop off the map. And go ahead, collect all your boxes, bring them into this area. That way you can trigger this scene without spawning the Warthog, and you can teleport your player 2 above you. That way, whenever you go to do the overload, you're not getting pulled away, thus kind of interrupting your overload and making it more difficult to drop the Warthog. So, yeah, once you've done that, go ahead and go through here, pick up another sword, and keep an SMG as a backup weapon. That way you can kill your player 2 a lot faster than with the BR. It takes forever to do it with a BR, to overload with it, so SMG is just a lot better. And once you get through here, grenade as fast as you can up here, and as long as you time it just right, you'll get a checkpoint up here. That way you're relatively close by, and even if you mess up your overload setup, you can just come back and do it again pretty quick. So originally, there's your elite, but originally I was keeping one of the jetpack elites way off into that other corner, but the Warthog was not spawning for some reason whenever I was doing it on this setup, so I started just killing everything, removing the floating grunt bodies, everything, just trying to get everything I could off the map, and that way, I had a solid idea of how many times I had to kill player 2 to get the overload right. I think for this attempt, it was 28 times. I think I had to kill him 28 times, and it took a while, like at least 30 or 40 minutes of me doing this over and over again, and eventually it hit just right to where it overloaded the Warthog on. And I don't know if it makes any difference whether or not it has a turret or not. I don't really care. The launches from the bottom back up are very powerful as long as you've got enough grenades down there. But anyways, once you've got the Warthog, stay in it for 3 minutes so it doesn't despawn. I made that mistake my first time dropping the Warthog, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Anyways, so once you've got it, keep it in sight and go ahead and start making another grenade pile. And I think it's actually, you can hit the very ceiling of the map from the bottom with a Warthog with only like 27 or 28 grenades. So you actually don't need as many grenades as you might think, especially with Sputnik and Feather on, with your vehicle object. So I only did like 25 plasma grenades for this setup, and it was still getting me pretty high up there. So somewhere in that range is good. After you've done that, tighten up your pile and shoot it off the map. Now in MCC, you can do this pretty easily and then go down to the bottom of the map, even after you've triggered other stuff. And most of the time, you'll still have most of your grenades down there, as long as you're not doing too much stuff, especially if you're like triggering any other stuff to like too much stuff to load. So in this situation, almost all your grenades are always going to be down there every time. So it just takes a while to find them. But yeah, after that, you have player two drive the Warthog off and try to turn it just right to where the Warthog is spinning kind of in a circle slowly as it falls. That way it lands on its wheels. And, you know, it will take a little damage, but as long as it lands on its wheels, it's not going to blow up. And I actually haven't ever blown it up because I was too afraid to like smack it or anything like that. But you know, obviously with how long this takes, you wouldn't you wouldn't want to risk that in the first place. So yeah, just try to make it land on its wheels. So kind of just do a little spin, and come over to this area, grab a jetpack elite, and go ahead and start heading down to the bottom. Takes quite some time. It's very tedious and boring. In fact, I watched an episode of House of the Dragons with my wife real quick just to pass the time. And fortunately, you can stop paying attention and come down here, and you know he's not going to kill you regardless. I mean, there's been a few times that I've done this and he did shoot at me like for just a split second, but as long as you're running back and forth and you know keeping track of your shield, make sure that he couldn't kill you easily, everything's fine. And his AI is kind of wonky anyways because he's so far away, so don't really have to worry about it too much. But yeah, kind of once you get down here, look up at your player 2, kind of line up with him, and then it will help you find the Warthog a lot easier. It's not that hard to spot. You just kind of have to walk around for a while, look around. The grenade pile, on the other hand, it just depends. Like, there's been times where I found it right away, and then other times where it took me like 10 minutes to find it. I had to run around the bottom of the map in circles, and then, you know, eventually found it. But yeah, I think with this setup in particular, I think that I had a few grenades disappear. I think I only ended up with something like 21 or 22, something like that, even though I set up for like 25 or whatever the case may be. Yeah, like when I was counting them, I noticed that some of them disappeared, but most of the time that actually doesn't happen. So I must have accidentally did something to cause some deloading. But yeah, once you're down here, you can go ahead and set up and have your player 2 trigger the checkpoint. I actually messed up on this setup. My reticule was too high, so I wasn't even triggering the grenades, and I parked my Warthog way too far away. So you have to be super careful about that. But I was still able to make it work. And as you can see with this, I think it was this next one right here. Yeah, you get a lot of power on this. I'm not obviously not going in an upward direction, but yeah, you can get a lot of power and kind of just fly through space for a while till the Voltron triggers. But right here is just to show you the kind of power that you can get with even, you know, around 20 grenades. You can still theoretically make it to the top of the mat gun or even higher. But yeah, it would be really cool to see someone make this launch, because even the slightest change in movement or direction can completely throw the launch off, and it's difficult just to get back to the station, let alone like near the top of it. I tried this launch so many times, and there was only like 3 or 4 times that I even came close to like hitting the top of the mat gun. So it would be crazy if someone finally did this.